Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. This is kind of a dream related uh, um, subject here. Um, yeah, just woke up here just a little bit ago. Um, and it's important, of course, with certain dreams that you say them before too long, otherwise you might forget much of the content of the dream. So in this dream, I remember it had a lot to do with going on a trip to Chicago, apparently. Um, and it was with, I'm not even younger, but whoever it was, it might have been a college trip. I don't know. It was a trip to Chicago with some kind of group that I was with. And it was really involved in as far as everything. I remember just spending a ton of energy on cleaning, preparing, what to bring, all that stuff, and packing and all kinds of saving money for everything. And then we we go on a, I think it wasn't even a plane, it was a bus, but somehow I can't remember. It was just a lot of the dream was traveling, so it might have everybody was getting there in different ways. Some were planes, some were buses from some kind of college or something I was at or something. So a lot of the dream was that. Then we finally get to where we were supposed to be, and then we were all meeting, and it was a bunch of us, and I honestly can't remember. No, I'm pretty sure I was. Anyway, I don't. So at this point, we now have to go through some kind of, for what we're doing, we have to go through some kind of security thing, or it was, this was like I think a bus station or something that wasn't a bus station. Wherever I was at, there was a lot of concrete. It was a lot of brown, gray concrete, and a lot of tunnels, like um, multiple story tunnels, like a parking garage, but different. It was more like a maze of sorts for people, pedestrians, and I think what happened was I was supposed to, you got to stay with the group, but of course I didn't, right? And then I ended up trying to find them without a cell phone, and yeah. And now I'm trying to race around, and then there's people talking in big groups in the middle of a walkway, and I'm trying to get by them downstairs. And so I say, like, I remember something like, "Excuse me," really loud, and like this black girl is like, "Did you hear that, girl?" She's just like blocking the way, and I was just like, and I yelled back, "Would you prefer that I whispered it?" I was in a hurry, anyway, anyway, of course, as you could probably guess, the dream was just about done. Yep, just a little bit after that, I woke up and I was like, "Holy crap! I didn't get to see Chicago." No Sears Tower, no John Hancock Tower, no Chicago Symphony, no art museums, no Ferris Bueller, you know, stuff. Chez Louis, no, whatever. Anyway, I didn't get to see Harrison Ford playing Dr. Kimball, running away from Tommy Lee Jones playing the U.S. Marshal guy. Anyway, Balki Bartakamus and Perfect Strangers. Anyway, there's there's a lot of things with this dream that involve, I think, anxiety about going on trips and staying with the group, but stuck with me since I was younger, not getting lost. Some part of the nature of this dream was a little bit like the way I thought when I was younger, little boy. And of course, we take for granted cell phones, but imagine what life would be like without cell phones now. And cell phones came out when I was in kind of earlier on in college, basically. And it made everything different. Before then, it was just like you had to be really there on time, say that you were on time. It was just a different world. Everything was landline phones, and I think we had email, but not for very long. Before that, it was like tail end of high school, maybe, but more for just my parents. Starting out AOL and Prodigy and stuff, and anyway, it's harder to plan things, especially complex things. You have to be really punctual, and you had to be really. If you were with a big group and you got away from that group, you had to ask people for, have you seen this group? I had to, try to. Cell phones are so awesome that way. You can just call people and say, "Oh yeah, we're here. Oh yeah," and you just look at your map and like, "Okay," and we'll wait for you here, and it's so much easier to coordinate stuff. Anyway, I was of course kind of bummed, but then I woke up and was like, "Oh, Chicago. I like Chicago, but not really that big of a deal. It's not like I'm in London or something." Or anyway, I've heard Paris is, by the way, full of urine and people want to steal your money. And don't get me wrong, I like Paris, but I'm starting to think, maybe when it comes to France, maybe I'll just skip Paris. Just skip Eiffel Tower. Yeah, that's nice. The Louvre is the real draw, I think. That's the real draw because of all the. But I don't know. I think when it comes to places like Europe, London has a lot of crazy people too. So really, when it comes to Europe, it's more about the smaller cities now, and countryside, and so in England, it's like northern and western areas of the country, the forests, and maybe getting into the Celtic countries, of course, Wales and Scotland, Ireland, a little bit, and then I don't know. Scandinavia is kind of cool. As long as you avoid again big cities where the crazy people are, not ones I know, and then Germany, same deal. Berlin's gonna be kind of nutty, and I know. See, some cities have more appeal than others. I wouldn't want to just do like this big mass tourist group thing. That would be just dumb. I know, but you want to go with some other people so you don't get lonely. But if you went by yourself, at least if you're there for a while, you wanted to meet people. I'm assuming you'd want to be more, definitely a lot more. You'd be much freer to do what you wanted to do, depending on your plans. But you'd definitely be like, oh yeah, much more prone to want to meet people and chat with people. So it'd be much more vital that you knew that people could speak English where you went. But that's just, that's Europe. Asia would be different. Japan maybe would be one of the nicer areas to go if you're American, because there's more familiar with Americans, and I don't know, just I know a fair amount about Asian countries to know which ones are what to expect if I went to different places, more or less. Um, Africa would be different, of course. Um, a lot of differences between just different tribes and areas. And then, of course, Latin America, I think, would be pretty cool, but definitely a lot more friendly, I think, or a lot. It's just the vibe would be very different than Europe or Asia, or also Africa, of course. And so many other areas of the world. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, it was an interesting dream. I am kind of still, it's going to stick with me for a bit here. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.